So, hi, and welcome everybody to this is our first championship of the season. So excited about that. The 2024 mixed 18 and over district championship for the 7-0s and 8-0s. So we are very excited to see everybody there. And we're excited you guys are on this call. So listen, this is a pretty laid back call. I do have a PowerPoint presentation that I put up. I will send it out afterwards along with the recording. But if you have questions at any time, please just come off mute and pipe in. You can type them in the chat. Yeah, so if everybody could mute their phones so we don't get any feedback, that would be great. You can type if you type in the chat, Laura and Anne Marie. Hi guys, and Paul, if you guys can watch the chat for me and throw some questions out there. Yeah, go ahead, Lucille.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm in my car, so I pushed the wrong button.
Maybe you're just waving at us from your car. How about that?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get started. And yeah, so just let us know if you have any questions as we go. I'm going to. Okay, everybody, can you guys see that? The blue screen. Remember when it used to be the blue screen of death on when the so welcome to the 2024 season. We are a few weeks earlier than we have been in the past, so we appreciate you guys working with schedules and changing things around, and thanks to the local league coordinators for all you guys do also. We know it was a little bit of a challenge this year, so I don't know what this little box on the corner is, but it doesn't give me an X to click off of it, so I'm not sure why it's there. Okay, so I always pop up with the national championship schedule. So the winners of the districts, and we'll go over this a little bit later, do advance to the section championship in 3 weeks, and then the winners of the individual individual winners of the NTRP values at the section championships will advance to the national championship. And this is the schedule for this year. And there's a hyperlink on the bottom where it says 2024 National Championship Calendar. You'll be able to click through that. If you don't have a copy of the calendar, you have it in this presentation. Okay, so we are June 1st and June 2nd. So we are playing Saturday and Sunday. This is our only championship where we do not play on Fridays. So we hope you guys kind of enjoy your drive in and take some time and enjoy your team. Pop in on Friday night so that you can get a good start on Saturday morning. We'll be at Bass River Tennis Club, which is in Beverly, Mass, and Winchester and Woburn, which are pretty close to each other, even though they're in separate towns, but they're pretty close to each other. You will start and finish your flight in the same club. So wherever you play your first match is where you will play all of the rest of your matches. We try to do that as much as possible so you don't have to travel, and you can kind of have a little bit of like a home base with your teammates and family and friends if they come. The only way that would change is if there was something super catastrophic at one of the clubs, and then we would have to move on, but that's not going to happen, right, Laura? So Laura says that's not going to happen. So for communication during the championship, we use the emails and the phone numbers that we've gotten off of TennisLink. If for some reason the phone number that you have that is easier to communicate with you through text and calls is different than what you have listed on TennisLink, please let your site director know when you get there. Just give them a heads up and we'll make a note of it. And the same thing goes if you have somebody that's going to be an acting captain for you that day, if you're unable to be there or need to pop out. We just need to know who to call if there is any reason we need to get a hold of you. And then we also have our Captain's Hub, which we keep updated, but the calls, texts, and in-person communication is our primary way of communicating once the championship starts. Okay, so what to expect? We do have some new people, so super excited about that. So for you guys and for you guys that are old hats at this, you'll know, but just to reiterate, the first thing you're going to do is check in. So before your first match, this is just before the first time you play as a captain, we need you to come in 45 minutes early, 45 minutes prior to the time that's scheduled. It gives us time to give you your player gifts, to give you your match cards, to answer any questions and still keep everything rolling and smooth. So if you play at 11 o'clock on Saturday, come in at 10:15. You don't have to come in at 7:15 before the whole tournament starts. Just 45 minutes before your first match, come check in at the tournament desk. Just you. All of your players will send to see you, so have them come find you. We just need you to check in and make sure that you're there and you're all set. Before all of your other matches, we'll need you to turn in your lineup 30 minutes prior to your scheduled match and be ready to play and get on court. Make sure all your players are there. We do that so that we have time to check rosters, make sure that the NTRPs add up to 7-0 or 8-0, and that there aren't anything that we need to talk to you about. It gives us a little bit of buffer time, and it helps us keep on time. And then you can ask the tournament staff any questions you have when you check in or at any other time. All right. So when it's time to play, have all of your, so when you're going to come in, you're going to turn your lineup into somebody that's at the desk, have all your players there. Somebody at the desk will give you an idea of, hey, you're going on next, or it's going to be 5 minutes, or it's going to be a little bit longer. We have a pretty decent idea. We stay on time most of the time. We have lots of courts, so we will be able to stay really close to being on time this year. We just want to make sure that everybody's there, shoes on, racket in hand, ready to go on court when we can get you guys out there. The players will need to provide a government ID, a government issued ID prior to playing. So not when they come first time, but what we'll do is we'll say, Rhode Island versus Eastern Mass, 7-0. The teams come to the desk. That's when your teams will show their ID. And once they've shown it once, they won't need to show it any other time. We keep track of that. So if they play first match of the day, they're fine. So they just need to show it. Passport, military, driver's license, anything that's government issued ID. And what they'll do is they'll come up to the tournament desk, they'll meet their opponents, shake hands, we'll tell them what court to go out on, we'll hand them some balls, and we will send them out with thumbs up to go. And then while they're on court, we're asking everybody to be good sports. We are also unofficiated, just like your local leagues. So they're calling their own lines. They are, shaking hands when they get on the court, spinning the racket, the whole thing. If there is ever a dispute on the court or somebody has a question, they need to leave their racket on the court and come get one of the tournament desk staff. Come talk to us if there are any questions. We're there really very much to help you and to help everybody's experience be good. So if there's ever, like, if somebody doesn't remember how to do a Coleman tiebreak, if there's a discrepancy between about the score, don't stand there. Don't have your players stand there for a while and discuss it. Just have them really quickly come up so that we can get them going and keep them playing. The 10-minute warm-up, everybody will get a 10-minute warm-up. This does include the serves. Also helps keep us on time. So we're not going to come on court and tell you guys to play, tell the players to play unless it gets really egregious. But if you'll have your players just kind of check their clock or check a watch when they get out there, and then they've got 10 minutes and then they can go ahead and get started. There's no coaching of any kind. So we at the for tournaments, for championships, consider any conversation with anybody that's not on your court coaching. So if they need water, they need to come off of the court and get water. If they have a dispute, they can't signal the windows and have you get somebody from the tournament desk. They need to come off the court and get us. Tell them that whatever happens, they're in a little bubble and they only have themselves. And if they have an issue, they need to come grab us. If they go to the bathroom at any time, please don't follow them into the bathroom and talk about the match. there's no coaching. We just, it's hard to tell if you're just saying hi and checking on them or if there's coaching. So we anything at the championship that is conversation off the court is considered coaching. All right, more stuff. So once the players are done with their match, we need both teams, one player from each team, to come back immediately. They need to leave the court right after. They can't stand on the court and watch other matches. They need to pop up off the court, come to the tournament desk. They're going to report their scores, and one player from each team is going to initial by that so that they both agree. They're going to give the tournament desk the balls back. Also, we use them for practice balls for the next matches. And then for you guys as captains, when all 3 lines are complete, you're going to come up, you're going to check the scores again, make sure that what your players have told you is what is on the scorecard. And if you agree with it, you're going to sign it. And if you don't, tell the tournament staff, we'll get the other players, we'll start discussing, we'll figure out what the scores actually were. We'll work it out right there before they get entered into Tennis Link. We can't enter any scores into Tennis Link until both captains have signed the scorecard, or if the players are done, we note the match time when it comes off the court. If it passes 30 minutes, then you don't have, there's no option to come back and dispute scores. So pop over as soon as you see your last line come off, check the scores, talk to us, and sign off. All right, so for the match format, and please note, the match format may be different than your local area format. First and foremost, there is no time limit on these matches. So your players are playing until they're done. There's no match ending. It is just you're playing it out. So each, the overall format is a round robin. Everybody will play everybody one time. And then each match is 2 out of 3 sets with ad scoring and a 10-point Komen tiebreak in lieu of a third set. I think I spelled Komen wrong again. I always do that. And then if it gets to be 6-all in either of the first 2 sets, you will play a 7-point Komen tiebreak. We will put some, I'll put a link in for a Komen tiebreak that the players can print out if they're unfamiliar with how to do the Komen tiebreak. You're going to switch on the odd games. That does include the first game, but there's no rest after the first game. They just need to pop over. If they need a drink, that's fine. Just don't sit down and rest in between the first and the second game. The curtains, what we do with curtains is whatever the club usually mandates, and typically that means they are closed. We have a couple of clubs. I don't think any of these clubs do it, but most of the clubs do curtains closed. So we do whatever the club has us do with the curtains. 7-0 flights. Flight winners will advance to the section championship. So there are 9 flights. We are going to pull one more wild card from the remaining flights. And so we'll have 10 total teams that go to the section championship. That'll be 2 5-team round robins and then a head-to-head for section championships in 3 weeks. The 8-0s, there are 5 flights. So flight winners will advance to the section championship. There will be 5 winners. So it'll be a 5-team round robin for the section championship. All right. So I'm going to kind of pause right there. That was a lot. Does anybody have any questions? Is there anything we need to go back to? No? Okay. All right. So this is considered a no default championship, which means you need to field all of the lines for all of your matches. If something happens and somebody hurts themselves, you don't have enough players, you don't have a replacement, and you end up defaulting, we default from the bottom up. So it would be third doubles that gets defaulted. It would end up, because it is a round robin, it will be defaulted throughout the round robin, which means any future matches would be 6-0, 6-0 for the other team. And anything that's previously played, we would reverse 6-0, 6-0 for the other team, so that nobody has a mathematical advantage by winning that, by not having played that line. So that gets a little bit confusing sometimes, but it doesn't happen very often. It just typically, if somebody gets hurt, and if you've got only have 6 players there and somebody gets hurt, that happens sometimes. But Let us know if you have any questions about the defaults. But going into the championship, teams are required to field all the lines for all three or for all of your matches. I keep throwing this one in about the national suspension point system. It's about 2.5-ish years old, 3 years old. Any suspension points that anybody gets now, whether it's through the grievance system or code violation at the championship, are national, which means if you decide to punch somebody on the other side of the net and we kick you out and give you a 1-year suspension in New England, you can't go to Florida and play. So they are national suspension points. Each of your site directors and assistant site directors will act as officials in the capacity of code violations. So if we see really egregious behavior, we will address it as tournament officials, but there are no roving officials on site. Grievances, the same thing. Grievances upheld will result in national suspension points. And I'll put a link to the national suspension point documents as well. All right, a couple of FAQs. No courts available for practice before or during the championship. If you'd like to practice, you'll need to find courts at other facilities or public parks. That doesn't mean Friday. If you guys show up on Friday and want to rent courts at the club, that's fine. We're not starting until 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. So please feel free to do that. However, we do have open courts, especially at Winchester, but we don't have enough for everybody. So we're just going to leave those open. So during the championship Saturday and Sunday, we won't allow anybody to practice on those courts. Bathrooms and showers are open at all of the facilities. I do have one caveat, is that Bass River is doing a construction project on their front desk. So that just means they typically have candy bars and power bars and strings you can buy and racket dampeners. None of that will be available. They will have their water fountain. They have a machine that has Gatorades and waters in it. Their bathrooms or showers will all be open. It's just the front desk that'll be under construction. And Mike wanted me to apologize to everybody for the timing of their construction, but everything's open. You just won't have that front desk. And for those of you that have been to Bass River before, I'm not sure exactly where the tournament desk is going to be, but just look for Edsel or myself and you'll find us. Please bring plenty of water and snacks with you. Clear liquids only are allowed on court. We don't want anything staining the courts for the clubs that allow us to play. Your players can take, I'm saying this, don't tell the clubs I said this. Your players can take food on the court, but they need to, any trash they make needs to come out with them. Don't get crumbs on the ground, like take it out of their bag, eat, come. If anybody has any issues with blood sugar or, any kind of medical condition, if anybody has any kind of a medical condition that might be an issue on court, if your player could give the tournament desk a heads up, that would be really helpful also. All right, does anybody have any other questions? Any questions?
Just about the scoring, it's going to be regular scoring?
Yep, it's regular scoring. Yep. We like to play it out. Go ahead. Somebody have a hand up? What's that? Oh, go ahead.
So it was me already made a question.
Okay.
Sorry.
Lisa, did you have something? You're on mute.
Yeah, I have a question which you may address at a later time, but it is, how are you measuring winning? Is it individual
No,
lines?
it's wins. All the championships are all team wins.
So it's per match. So if you win 2 lines out of 3,
That's
you
correct.
won the
Yep.
match. But not 2 lines and 2 lines and 2 lines for an aggregate of, if you have 3 matches,
Right.
like 9 lines. Okay, so
Yep,
it is by
by
match. Okay. I don't know why that question came up at one point, so I wasn't sure. And do you have a reference for medical timeout, that sort of thing? Is there going to be a link to that, or do we just go back to the USTA site for
I'll
that?
throw
Medical
something in here
timeouts or
about it. The medical timeouts, I'm going to caveat this with they are always a very gray area when we don't have officials and we don't have trainers. So
Okay,
what it is, it's a 3-minute time once treatment has begun. So if you have a trainer, the trainer has, they have 15 minutes to assess you and then 3 minutes to actually provide treatment. Nobody on our staff is medical, so we will not provide any treatment. We'll bring you an ice pack. We'll have first aid kits. We will do our best to make sure. But what we typically do, if somebody hurts themselves and we see it, one of us will go down onto the court and check and just talk to the player. Do you think you can continue? Do you want to rest? And if they think they can continue or they want to just try to kind of see how it's going to go, we'll start the 3 minutes right then. And then they've got 3 minutes to decide.
okay,
So depending on how far you have to go, if we're bringing ice, if we're going on court 10 in Winchester, that's kind of, or in Woburn, it's really far out there. So yeah, so just lean on the staff that's there and have them kind of help you out.
I certainly
Yes.
hope we won't need it. But
Yes,
just,
I
you know,
agree.
just in
But
case, okay.
it is, make sure to, if anybody, it's not supposed to be super hot, but know that these clubs are not air conditioned. Bass River is, the lobby is air conditioned,
Okay.
so it's a little bit better. But they need to start drinking and hydrating now. They can't get to the club and drink 3 gallons of water and think they're hydrated. So they've really got to start now. They could bring some salt pills or bring some, people drink pickle juice. I think Laura likes that. TheraWorks for cramps. We don't want anybody cramping, but just know we don't have medical personnel on site. So we will do our very best to help everybody.
Okay, thanks.
Christy, there was a question in the chat just asking if an acting
Oh, yeah.
captain could sign the scorecard. And obviously, yes, an acting captain can, as long as the site director knows that there is an acting captain and who it is. So if you're not going to be there as a captain, make sure you tell your site director who will be in charge.
Yes, we know it's hard, especially as it gets a little bit later in the summer. People are going to multiple championships, or you can't be there, all the days. We want to make sure, be as accommodating as possible, but we do need to know who's doing the lineups and who's going to sign the cards. All right. So we have on this page, these are hyperlinks to, there's a captain's Facebook page. If you haven't popped on it, go ahead and pop on it and join. It's not specific to championships, but we do put a lot of things on there about championships, and then some other things that are going on. The important documents and regulations is going to be the hyperlink that has your schedules as well. That link is live. So as I add documents into that link, it'll just house everything. So what I'll do is I'll save this PowerPoint as a PDF and I'll put it in there as well, so that you can refer back to it. If there happen to be any updates in the schedule, that's what we do. And so it comes through Showpad. So know that that is from us. Showpad is our platform. It's not a scam link. We go through Showpad. So you guys know that 3% of all of the registration fees go back to our New England Tennis and Education Foundation, which helps underserved communities. So we appreciate you guys giving back. And also our USTA online store, 10% of any purchases from the online store also go back to the New England Tennis and Education Foundation. There are a few things on there for the championships. We're working on adding some things. There's some things for captains on there. There's everything. There's fun stuff, drinkware, t-shirts, tank tops. So pop onto the online store and see if there's something that looks exciting to you. And then also our Captain Player and Hub that has everything from championships to regulations to local area timelines. We recognize that the USTA site presents its challenges. And so Laura, thanks to Laura, put together a Google site that is the Captain and Player Hub that is much easier to navigate. And hopefully you can it's kind of a one-stop shop. You can't Google it because it's a Google site though, so you'll have to save the link somewhere. Is that right, Laura? Did I say that right? Okay.
Yeah, just bookmark the link and that way you always have it. I think the LLCs use it
Yes.
probably 4 or 5 times a day.
So hopefully that gives you all of the information you need. And then of course, if you can't find it or don't know where to find any information and you have questions, you have our emails and the championship email as well. So, and this is our new font that we can now use for according to the national organization. The marketing team is working on some stuff, so it's this handwriting script. I kind of like it. So anyway, so that's really, I will add in the medical timeout slide to this before I send it out to you guys. But that's really it for us. Do you have any questions? I don't want to fly through some stuff if you guys have any other questions.
As far as that medical timeout, I mean, it's still if somebody had cramps and then they were resolved and then a little later they had cramps again, I mean, that's not considered another medical timeout, right?
That's correct. You can only have a medical timeout one time, no matter where they are on your body. And the second time you request any kind of medical for cramps, the player would have to retire.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording.
I guess I just wanted to ask a question because I missed the beginning because I don't know, it just kept circling. But we still need to be there, like to be ready to play a half hour before our match time, correct?
Yeah, so the first time you check in, pop over 45 minutes early instead of 30. That way it gives us time to give you your player gifts and your lineup cards. And then the rest of your matches 30 minutes early, please.
And does that still include the first match of the day?
So here's my caveat for the first match of the day. Because if I tell you we're not putting you out at 7:30 in the morning, everybody shows up at 8. We want to put everybody out on the court so that they can get their warm-up in and start playing at 8 o'clock, which means we typically start putting matches out between 7:40 and 7:45. If you happen to be that 7:40 match, you get a 20-minute warm-up. So that's really the first one. We do want you there early so that we can get things moving and people don't show up at 8. But we will not put matches out at 7:30. We also, when you turn your lineup card in at 7:30 in the morning, we also have to have time to check the rosters and make sure that everybody's all set. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you have that one player who's always 10 minutes late, tell him to show up at 6:45. Go ahead. Yep.
As far as the roster, do you give a particular form, or it's just we turn in the names, like read them off to the tournament desk, or how does that happen?
So you're going to get, I don't have a picture of one. You're going to get an envelope that has the match information for each one of your matches, and it'll have the match number, it'll have the time and your name on it, and then it'll have the slots for your players. So we just ask that you write first doubles, second doubles, third doubles, and then turn that into us 30 minutes early. We need the player's name like it is on Tennis Link. So if their name is Christina, they go by Christy, but Christina is what's on Tennis Link. Please write Christina, because we check it back and forth with what we have printed out from Tennis Link. And a lot of times in mixed, especially because we have husbands and wives, we have family members, we need to make sure the right person, we're checking the right person.
Okay, that's a good tip.
Anything else? Okay, well, if you guys, seriously, if you come up with anything between now and then, or, make sure you introduce yourself to your site directors. and let them know that you're there if you have questions. We are there as tournament staff and site staff very much to make sure that your experience is good. So do not be afraid to come up to the desk and ask questions or chat or, we really want to make sure that everybody has a great tournament, has great competitive tennis. You meet some new people that maybe you didn't know before. And somebody from this group will be going to nationals eventually. So you got a couple of steps to get there, but it's exciting. All right, I'm going to turn this recording off.